Have you ever felt it? That instantaneous jolt when someone walks into a room, a spark that rewrites the air you breathe. In that flash, 1,000 unconscious calculations are made. As a psychologist, I've sat with countless women who describe this moment, trying to unravel its meaning. Was it love at first sight or just a trick of the brain? The truth is, the decision between lust and love isn't a conscious choice made over weeks of dating. It's a verdict handed down by your brain in mere seconds, informed by a lifetime of hidden programming. The primal spark, a brain on fire. Let's be honest, it often starts with the body. You see someone and there's an immediate visceral reaction. This isn't your rational mind at work. This is your ancient evolutionary hardware firing up. Psychologists and neuroscientists have looked at the brain in this state, and what they see is a brain on drugs. MRI scans show that the initial, intense phase of attraction lights up the same reward pathways, specifically the ventral tegmental area, VTA, and the caudate nucleus, that activate when an addict gets a hit of cocaine. This is the lust circuit, a flood of dopamine and norepinephrine that creates feelings of exhilaration, focused attention, and a craving for more. It's a state of arousal, heightened alertness, and sometimes insomnia and loss of appetite. This is your brain's way of screaming, "Pay attention." This one might be important for procreation. This powerful first impression is formed in less than 1/10 of a second. Your brain, an elegantly orchestrated self-fulfilling prophecy, is constantly generating predictions about the world. When you meet someone new, it runs a lightning-fast analysis based on visual cues. Studies show that we make surprisingly accurate judgments about traits like extroversion and self-esteem from just a photograph. A person's posture, the energy in their walk, the hint of a smile, these are all data points. An extroverted person tends to smile more and look healthier, signaling vitality. Your brain isn't being superficial. It's being efficient, using ancient cues to make a quick assessment of mate value. This isn't just about classic good looks. Sometimes the attraction is strangely specific, a phenomenon called sensory bias. Evolution might have pre-wired a woman's brain to prefer a certain vocal pitch or a particular scent because long ago those traits were linked to a good provider or a healthy mate. So when she finds a man's slightly goofy laugh utterly captivating, it might not be random. It could be her brain recognizing a deep ancestral signal of compatibility. But this initial chemical rush is, by its very nature, pure lust. It's focused entirely on a person's looks and body. It's the desire to have sex, not necessarily a conversation. At this stage, you're not seeing the real person. You're projecting a fantasy onto them. As psychiatrist Judith Orloff puts it, you're wearing rose-colored glasses, and your new interest can do no wrong. This is a powerful but fleeting state. Lust, once satisfied, tends to fade quickly. It's a brilliant mechanism for getting two people together, but it's not designed to keep them there. The unconscious calculation, mate value versus chemistry. So, if that initial dopamine hit is just lust, where does love begin? It starts in the same split second, but on a different, more complex level of processing. Your brain isn't just asking, "Are they hot?" It's simultaneously running a sophisticated analysis based on 3 distinct factors that determine if this connection has potential beyond the physical. This is where we distinguish between a fling and a future. First is the partner effect, which is a cold, hard calculation of their consensual desirability or mate value. Essentially, your brain is asking, is this person a good catch according to the standards of my society? This is where traits that signal stability and resources come into play. Research consistently shows that while men may initially prioritize vitality and attractiveness, women tend to place a higher value on status, resources, and intelligence. This isn't about being a gold digger. It's an evolutionary echo. For millennia, a woman's survival and that of her offspring depended on choosing a partner with the ability to provide and protect. Studies have even found that women are more attracted to men who demonstrate a capacity to earn rather than just men who have inherited wealth, suggesting it's the competence and ambition that are truly attractive. So, in that first impression, her brain is scanning for cues of confidence, intelligence, and ambition, the building blocks of security. Second is the actor effect, which is all about her. Is she even in a position to be interested? This is a measure of her own general choosiness at that moment. A woman who feels secure, happy, and fulfilled in her own life might be highly selective, with a very high bar for entry. Her brain is saying, my life is good. You need to be truly exceptional to be worth the disruption. Conversely, a woman experiencing loneliness or a strong desire for a relationship might be less selective, more open to seeing the potential in others. Her first impression will be colored by her own internal state. But the most magical and mysterious component is the third one, the relationship effect. This is pure unexplainable chemistry. It's the feeling that transcends checklists and societal standards. He might not be the most popular guy in the room, low partner effect, and she might typically be very selective, strong actor effect. But there's just something about him that clicks for her. It could be a shared niche sense of humor, the way his eyes light up when he talks about something he's passionate about, or a feeling of ease that is immediate and profound. This is compatibility. This is the unique, idiosyncratic spark that says, this person, for reasons I can't fully articulate, feels right for me. Studies that follow couples after initial meetings, like speed dating events, have found that this relationship effect, this unique compatibility, is one of the strongest predictors of whether a relationship will actually begin and last, just as strong as the partner's overall mate value. So in that first few seconds, her brain is performing an incredible feat of triangulation, assessing his value, checking in with her own needs, and scanning for that elusive spark of unique chemistry. Lust might be triggered by the partner effect alone, but the possibility of love requires that powerful, personal click of the relationship effect, the attachment blueprint, how her past decides her future. Now let's go deeper. Why does one woman feel that click with a stable, kind man, while another feels it with someone who is emotionally unavailable and unpredictable? The answer lies in her attachment blueprint, the internal working model of relationships she developed in early childhood. This is perhaps the most profound factor in shaping her romantic decisions, and it all operates beneath the level of consciousness. Our brains are fundamentally wired for survival, and a key survival strategy is allostasis, the process of predictively managing our resources to meet future needs. For an infant, the most critical resource is a caregiver. Early attachment experiences teach the brain how to secure that resource. These early lessons create powerful, self-fulfilling prophecies that govern our adult relationships. Let's look at two common patterns, which attachment specialists call Type A and Type C strategies, by imagining two women. Let's call our first woman Anna. Anna grew up in a home where her parents were consistently neglectful or even punishing when she expressed negative emotions like fear or sadness. To survive, her infant brain made a brilliant adaptation. It learned to suppress and omit information about her own feelings, a process called defensive exclusion. She became a good girl who didn't cause trouble. Now, as an adult, Anna has difficulty with interoception, the ability to feel and interpret her own internal bodily signals. She often doesn't know what she's truly feeling. When Anna meets a man, her attachment blueprint activates. She might feel a strong surge of lust for someone who is charming but emotionally distant. Why? Because this pattern is predictable. Her brain, which hates unresolved prediction errors, ambiguity, finds a strange comfort in emotional distance because it's a familiar script. True intimacy, with its messy, unpredictable emotions, creates a deluge of interoceptive sensations that her system has learned to suppress. It feels overwhelming, even dangerous. As a result, Anna might find herself in a series of short-term sexual relationships. These relationships often follow telegraphed scripts with clear contingencies, which are easier for her to navigate than the deep, vulnerable work of building a long-term bond. It's not that she's afraid of love, but that her brain literally lacks the well-practiced concepts for intimacy. For Anna, the decision between lust and love is heavily skewed toward lust, because it offers a semblance of connection without the perceived threat of genuine emotional vulnerability. Now, let's consider Clara. Clara's caregivers were inconsistent. Sometimes they were warm and available. Other times they were preoccupied and unresponsive. Her world was filled with uncertainty. To cope, her brain developed an opposite strategy to Anna's. Instead of suppressing her feelings, she learned to exaggerate them. Crying louder, being more demanding. These were tactics to force a predictable response from an unpredictable caregiver. She became hypervigilant to her own internal state, but learned to distrust external cues of safety unless they were dramatic and overwhelming. As an adult, Clara is drawn to intense, passionate, and often tumultuous relationships. This is where the phenomenon of frustration attraction comes into play. Her brain's dopamine system, which is wired for reward prediction, goes into overdrive in situations of uncertainty. When a partner is hot and cold, providing intermittent reinforcement, her dopamine neurons fire prolonged signals of anticipation. The unpredictable wins, a sudden affectionate text after a day of silence, feel incredibly rewarding, much like hitting the jackpot on a slot machine. She mistakes this roller coaster of anxiety and relief for profound passion. For Clara, the intense feeling of wanting someone who is just out of reach feels like deep love, because her attachment blueprint equates chaos with connection. She doesn't just fall in love despite the drama. Her brain is wired to fall in love because of it. For both Anna and Clara, their initial seconds-long decision is not just about the man in front of them. It's a subconscious referendum on their entire relational history. Her brain is asking, does this person fit the model of attachment that I know? Does this interaction confirm my deepest predictions about how relationships work? The transition. When lust begins to whisper, love. Of course, many lasting relationships do begin with lust. The fiery hormone-fueled beginning can, with time and effort, evolve into a deep and meaningful bond. But how does this transformation happen? It's a process of shifting from a selfish to a selfless focus, a journey from the body to the heart, facilitated by a different set of neurochemicals. While lust is driven by the sex hormones testosterone and estrogen, the transition to love involves the bonding hormones, primarily oxytocin and vasopressin. Oxytocin, sometimes called the cuddle hormone, is released during physical touch, sexual arousal, and orgasm. Its primary role is to lower our inhibitions to social bonding by deactivating fear and anxiety centers in the brain, like the amygdala. It promotes feelings of calm, security, and trust. This is the neurochemical glue that allows two people to move beyond simple physical gratification and form a genuine emotional connection. This transition is marked by clear behavioral changes. It begins with getting to know the person beyond the fantasy. You start spending quality time together that doesn't revolve around sex. You get lost in conversations and forget about the hours passing. This is a crucial sign. You're becoming as interested in their mind as you are in their body. You build trust through shared experiences and honest conversations, creating emotional intimacy. You can often see the shift in small, almost unconscious signals. When a woman is moving from lust to love, she might start laughing at his jokes, even the lame ones, because his happiness has started to make her happy. She might find excuses to accidentally touch his arm or shoulder, seeking the oxytocin release of physical connection. She'll likely start putting more effort into her appearance before seeing him, wanting to be her best self for him. Her text messages become more engaged. Not just brief replies, but open-ended questions designed to keep the conversation going. Perhaps the most telling sign is the emergence of jealousy. If the thought of him complimenting another woman or liking her photos on social media sparks a pang of irritation or insecurity, it's a signal that he is no longer just a source of pleasure. He has become important. Her brain has tagged him as a valuable resource to be protected. Ultimately, the most profound shift is the one described by so many on forums like Reddit. The focus moves from self to other. Lust asks, how can he satisfy me? How does he make me feel? Love asks, how can I make him happy? What does he need? It's the willingness to sacrifice, to choose that person again and again, even when you see their flaws. You accept their imperfections because the connection itself has become more important than the initial idealization. Listening to her gut, the ultimate arbiter through all this complex machinery of hormones, attachment styles, and social calculations, there is one final powerful guide, a woman's intuition, or what many call a gut feeling. This isn't some mystical force. It is the culmination of all the unconscious processing I've described. It is the brain's predictive coding system delivering its final verdict in the form of a physical sensation. A feeling of calm, expansion, and ease around someone is your gut saying, all systems green. The predictions are positive. In contrast, a feeling of dread, discomfort, constriction, or being drained is a massive prediction error signal. It's your deep intuitive brain screaming, danger! This pattern does not compute for safety and well-being. It resembles past experiences that led to pain. As a psychiatrist, I have spoken with many women in domestic violence shelters, and their stories are hauntingly similar. Almost every woman admitted, My gut told me something was wrong at the very beginning, but I ignored it. They described being swept off their feet by someone charming and intense. The sexual chemistry was electric, but beneath it all, a small inner voice whispered, "Beware." They dismissed it as fear of intimacy or nervousness. Later, when the abuse began, they were already hooked by the powerful bond that lust and trauma can create. This is the most critical lesson. No matter how attractive or compelling someone seems, your gut feeling is the most reliable piece of data you have. It is the raw, unfiltered output of your brain's most sophisticated survival mechanism. In the end, a woman's decision between lust and love, made in those crucial first seconds, is a breathtakingly complex synthesis. It is a biological imperative, an evolutionary calculation of mate value, a psychological reflection of her deepest attachment patterns, and an intuitive flash of profound recognition. It's a dance between the primal desire for pleasure and the deep-seated need for security. Lust can be the thrilling opening number, but love is the symphony that follows. Understanding this internal process isn't about eliminating the magic. It's about honoring its complexity. By learning to recognize the siren call of pure lust, understand the echoes of her own past, and above all, trust the wisdom of her gut. A woman can navigate these powerful currents not as a passive passenger, but as the wise captain of her own heart.